3 months ago, I made a leadership mistake that cost me my team's trust, and it took me 8 weeks to rebuild what I destroyed in a single 15-minute team meeting. I thought I was being vulnerable. I thought I was building a connection. Instead, I transferred my stress onto my team, created uncertainty about our direction, and made them question whether I could actually lead us through the challenge we were facing. Here's what happened, what I learned, and the exact framework I now use to find the balance between vulnerability and detachment as an effective leader. And if you're a leader struggling with this same balance, how much to share, when to show vulnerability, how to stay resilient while being authentic, subscribe right now. I break down real leadership challenges like this every week with the strategies that actually work in the C-suite. So, here's what happened. We were 3 weeks into a major product launch that was behind schedule. Our engineering team had discovered a critical bug that would push our release date back by at least 6 weeks. This meant missing our Q2 revenue targets, disappointing investors, and potentially losing a major client who was counting on the launch. I was stressed. I wasn't sleeping well. I was under pressure from the board and our investors. And frankly, I was questioning the decisions that had led us to this point. And here's where I made the mistake. In our Monday all-hands meeting, I thought I was being authentic. I thought I was showing vulnerability, so I shared all of it. I told them I wasn't sure we'd made the right technical decisions. I expressed doubt about whether we could recover. I shared my concerns about investor reactions. I even mentioned that I'd been losing sleep over it. I thought I was building trust. Instead, I created panic. Within 24 hours, I started seeing the damage. 3 of my senior engineers scheduled one-on-ones to ask if they should be looking for other jobs. My head of sales stopped including me in client communications because she wasn't sure what message I wanted her to deliver. And my COO pulled me aside to say the team was now more worried about my stress level than about fixing the actual problem. The research backs this up. When leaders overshare their frustrations or frequently complain to their teams, they create uncertainty and risk being perceived as detached and ineffective. But here's the dichotomy. Only 13% of direct reports say their executives are willing to be vulnerable. So clearly, we need vulnerability. I just went about it completely wrong. So I had to figure out, what's the difference between vulnerability that builds trust and vulnerability that transfers stress? What's the balance between being authentic and being stable? How do you share challenges without creating doubt? Here's the framework I developed, tested, and now use every single day. It's based on the principles of extreme ownership combined with the latest research on authentic leadership. Ask yourself before sharing, does this help the team execute better, or does it just make me feel better? If your vulnerability doesn't have a clear connection to improving team performance or learning from mistakes, keep it for your coach, your mentor, or your journal. Here's what I should have said in that meeting instead of what I did say. What I said. I'm not sure we made the right decisions. I'm losing sleep over this. I'm worried about the investors. What I should have said. I underestimated the complexity of this integration, and that's on me. Here's what I learned from this mistake and the 3 changes I'm making to our process to prevent it from happening again. This is fixable, and here's our plan. See the difference? Both are vulnerable. Both own the mistake. But one creates clarity and confidence, the other creates doubt. Companies that promote a culture of vulnerability experience a 30% boost in innovation and creativity, according to Harvard Business Review. But that's only when vulnerability helps others learn, not when it transfers emotional burden. The formula is simple. Process your emotions first, then share the lesson you've learned. I was venting. I was using my team as a therapy session. What I should have done was process my stress with my executive coach, detach from the emotion, and then share the tactical lesson. Here's what I learned about our technical review process that we need to fix. Quick reminder, if you're finding this helpful, subscribe and hit the like bell. I publish videos every week, breaking down real leadership challenges with frameworks you can use immediately. This is the critical piece I got wrong. Every vulnerability you share should build toward a confidence-inspiring conclusion. The pattern is challenge, lesson, action, confidence. My mistake was sharing the challenge without the path forward. Here's the corrected approach I now use. Challenge. I made a call that didn't work out. Lesson. Here's what I learned, and what I should have done differently. Action. Here's what we're changing in our process. Confidence. This makes us stronger, and here's why I'm confident we'll succeed. When you follow this structure, your vulnerability doesn't create doubt. It builds trust. Your team sees a leader who's honest about mistakes, but confident in the path forward. So here's your action plan for this week. Pick one challenge you're currently facing as a leader and apply this framework. Step 1. Identify a relevant challenge where you can share a lesson with your team. Make sure it's connected to your current mission or project. Step 2. Process your emotions about it first. Talk to a coach, a mentor, or write it out privately. Get to the lesson before you share with your team. Step 3. Structure your sharing using the challenge lesson action confidence framework. Write it out before you share it. Step 4. Tie it directly to your current mission. Make sure your team can see how this vulnerability makes them stronger and more confident, not less. If you're currently guilty of complaining to your team or venting frustrations like I was, detach from your emotions first. Find the positive things you can share. Work to build your team's confidence instead of transferring your stress. Here's what happened after I fixed my approach. I called a follow-up meeting 3 days after my disaster. I owned the mistake. I shared my stress with you instead of my confidence in our ability to solve this. That was wrong, and here's why. Then I walked through the actual plan. I shared what I'd learned about our process gaps. I explained the 3 specific changes we were making, and I connected each change to why it made us better able to succeed. It took 8 weeks to rebuild the trust I damaged in 15 minutes, but we did rebuild it. We ended up launching 4 weeks later than planned, but we launched successfully, and more importantly, I developed a framework I now use every single day. The dichotomy of leadership is fundamental. You can't be cocky, but you must be convinced. You can't be passive, but you must be humble. You can't overshare, but you can't be distant. Finding that balance isn't easy, but it's essential. Remember, your vulnerability should make your team stronger, not transfer your stress onto them. Share lessons, not panic. Connect personal challenges to the mission. Build confidence, not doubt. Here's what I want you to do right now. Comment below. What's one challenge you're currently facing where you could apply this framework? Leave a comment, and I'll respond with specific advice for your situation. Thanks for watching. Balance vulnerability, and you'll lead more effectively.
This is the C-Suite Playbook, where Fortune 500 strategies meet actionable insights. Your competitive advantage starts here.